Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hey. Welcome to the ladies show. Ladies take over. Hop on in.
So as you can see, there's two of us tonight. Janae couldn't be with us today, but she's battling a cold. So hope you feel better, Janae. Honestly, like it sucks. So hope you feel better so you can come back next Thursday and join our show again. But again, take care of yourself, feel better, drink some tea, rest up, snuggle up, take care of yourself. Okay, Janae, and we'll make sure that you rejoin us next Thursday. So it'll be just me, the Delilah and Kate show today.
And this is my lovely co-host. Your name? This is Delilah. And what shows are you usually in, Delilah? And what do you do other than our show?
Well, outside of the ladies show, I'm also on the round table. It's been running for like 3 seasons now, which is crazy when I think about that. With my host Nick, who's always somebody that I love having on, especially because he's a fellow Chicago Bears fan. We don't have a lot of those. And then the hilarious Anthony Handy, the Mr. Georgia Bulldogs fan himself, right? So it's a good show. So tune in on Tuesdays. And of course, I do still share my DWD, Diversity with Delilah segments. So it appears on the Sunday shows as well. So.
And I am the creator of the Ladies Takeover, and I am Kate Elverson, Tom Brady's biggest fan. And tonight, I just thought I would share my Central Michigan love for Cooper Rush, the backup quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, because he's been doing really good, and I've been talking about how good he's been doing. But so, yeah, I'm representing Cooper Rush tonight in his alma mater. I know,
Right.
I know Janae and Ash are gonna love me for it.
I can't wait for them to see the show. All right, so we have one of our favorite segments, which is where we feature our women in the NFL. So on top of being a lady show, we want to make sure that we always feature a woman in the NFL that's making new things happen and getting out there and showing that women are a big part of the NFL. And so we're going to make sure that we always talk about a woman every week.
About women empowerment. I mean, it's one of the things that I talked about when bringing this topic into this group. I really respect women and their roles, and I think a woman's place can be in the NFL. And yes, they can. So I am bringing you Janie Bonk. She is the Executive Vice President, Chief Operating Officer for the Los Angeles Chargers, one of the Chargers' longest tenured executives and one of the highest ranking female executives in the National Football League. Jeannie Bonk was named Executive Vice President, Chief Operating Officer in May of 2016. Bonk originally joined the Chargers in 1991 as Chief Financial Officer. In 94, she was promoted to Chief Financial and Administrative Officer, a position she retained for 7 years. The year 2000, she was named Vice President, Chief Financial Officer, and in 2005, Bonk was promoted to Executive Vice President, Chief Financial Officer. So she's been with this organization for a very long time, and she's been with the NFL for a long time. And for a woman to have a role since 91 in the NFL, I think is a huge deal. And Bonk has successfully overseen the team's day-to-day financial operations for over 25 years. Her expertise and leadership have been critical to the ongoing success of the organization. Currently, she manages the team's involvement with the Inglewood Stadium project. She also has been a presenter at the NFL Women's Career Development Symposium, Thriving in Business Seminar at the University of San Diego, and the UC Irvine Chief Executive Roundtable Women's Forum, among others. So she's very involved in sports and very involved in women's empowerment in sports. And she's very much about getting it out there that women's place can be in the NFL and that they can hold high positions within an organization. She basically oversees the whole payroll, bank, everything for the Chargers. So I love that this woman is holding like the purse strings and making the decisions on contracts. She makes decisions on salaries. She makes decisions on how the team spends their money and everything. So I think that's pretty cool that it's a woman doing this. And she has been with them, like I said, since 91. That's a long time. And she's a native also of Covina, California. Bonk began her professional career in 1983 with the international accounting firm Price Waterhouse. So that's a very esteemed firm that she started with, and she worked for them for 8 years, leaving as senior audit manager to join the Chargers in 91. So she comes from a very accredited firm. So the Chargers obviously saw that she knew what she was doing and decided to give her a chance, which I'm very proud that they did, because we needed more women in this organization. She attended Mater Dei High School in Santa Ana before graduating with honors from the University of San Diego in 1983 with a bachelor's degree in business administration. She majored in accounting and is a certified public accountant and a chartered global management accountant. She was nominated to be the finalist for San Diego's Chief Financial Officer of the Year Award in 2009. She was inducted into her high school's Ring of Honor in 2011. She is also a member of the American Institute of CPAs and the California Society of CPAs. She is currently a member of the NFL Owners Audit Committee. She previously sat on the San Diego Humane Society's Audit Committee and the San Diego Diocese's Finance Council. In addition, she previously chaired the Financial Committee of the Cathedral Catholic High School for 6 years. Jean and her husband Jim reside in Costa Mesa. So she's been very active her whole entire career in different things, and she brings a lot to the table with all her expertise, her schooling, and I think she's pretty awesome, and I am wishing her all the best with the Chargers. And if you wonder who makes the decisions for Justin Herbert's contract, it is Miss Jeannie Bonk, and that's who our Women in the NFL is this week.
Wow, that's actually great. It proves that she actually has that background in accounting, right, and management. Again, oftentimes when women are given a higher position, right, everybody's like, oh, it's a diversity hire, they're trying to make a quota. But as you can see, and especially when it happened, right, like in the 90s, that was definitely way more uncommon. But it shows you that she has the credentials. As you said, she worked for a esteemed accounting firm. She has her degrees and her accolades, and you said she got her Ring of Honor, which I think is really cool. So yeah, and she's been doing it for decades, like you said. So go, Jeannie, keep going. Keep being a role model. I do like that she gives back and supports the NFL cause, where it's bringing more women in, like the NFL Symposium. I think that's really important. So I think she serves as a great role model and inspiration for girls everywhere and women.
And I love that she's not this young lady doing this. She's an older woman, and once you get to a certain age, they say, oh, it's time for you to retire. It's time for you to retire and move on and do this and stuff. But she's holding on. And I just think I really was cool to learn about her and figure her out. And I'm just excited to see what she's going to do with the purse strings at the Chargers.
Oh, yeah, especially after this season, right? Let's see how far they go.
Yeah.
She'll definitely need to make some decisions about the purse strings then, right?
Oh, exactly.
But yeah, I think that's amazing. Like, hey, so again, if you want to learn about Jeannie Bonk, again, she is the COO for the Chargers, right? Chief Operating Officer. So if you want to learn more about her, Google her, pop her out. She also is on the NFL websites. Like, they do have a lot of biographies, by the way. And so, like, if you Google her, you'll see that she is featured on the NFL website, and they go deep into who she is. So, hey, so good times. I'm glad that some of you are joining us. Andrew, hello. Thank you for joining us today. Sean, Johnny, welcome. Everybody else, keep popping in. We're happy to see you this evening. And we're going to leave you with a little mini commercial of one of our newest shows, the NFC South. Make sure you guys turn in on Tuesdays, because they are on right before the roundtable. Tuesday is the slot, man. Like, you remember TGIF back in the day when we used to talk about TGIF? Well, Tuesdays are the big show nights. So tune in for mega shows. We got the roundtable, NFC South before us, and a fantasy football table that changed to Tuesday evenings after the roundtable. So again, huge fun time on Tuesdays.
And I was honored to be on the NFC South last night. And so thank you, Nicole, Andrew, Sean, and Mr. Kyle for inviting me on. It was fun.
All right, and here's a little commercial. So make sure you tune in on Tuesdays. Yeah. So again, Tuesdays, always a good time. There's another great segment that we feature every week, which is a cause in the NFL to spotlight these players and different people and members of the organization that give back to their communities or the world in a lot of different ways. And so it's one of our favorite segments where we learn about one of these causes. And so just a short clip before we move on to what is the foundation and cause of the day.
I think it's really nice that someone like Hayden Hurst is coming out and being like, look, you're not alone. Mm-hmm. I'm a big, tough football player, and look at me. Like, I went through it too. Like, anybody can go through it. It doesn't matter how, like, if you're an athlete, if you're a man.
And there you have it. So from Ash, who, again, Ash, whenever you want to come back to the show or join us in a guest spot, by all means.
We miss you.
We miss you. So anytime you want to join us full time or when you have time, by all means, you are welcome back with open arms to join us on any of the segments. But okay. So today we are going to talk about Water Boys, which is a Chris Long Foundation and initiative. He has a foundation where he does a lot of things, and water is one of their big missions. And so he called it the Water Boys. And then within that, he has like the NFL Water Boys within that same organization. And so basically the vision overall of Water Boys is a world that stands up to the inequity to ensure that access to clean water and education are considered basic human rights that no person lacks. Their mission is bringing together a community of elite athletes, passionate fans that serve overlooked neighbors, both domestic and international, by creating solutions for clean water and education access. He then launched, again, Chris Long, he then launched the NFL Water Boys, whose vision is to unite all these different NFL players around a common goal of providing clean, accessible drinking water to communities in need. Because sometimes we actually don't think about that there are communities in our own country and overseas where they don't have access to clean water, right? And so this initiative tries to tackle that. It happened when Chris Long went to Tanzania for the first time. He came back with a new mission to tackle thirst because he saw it firsthand. He couldn't believe that there are people in this world that don't have access to clean water. And if it is water, it's not drinkable, right? And so he didn't understand until that visit about water scarcity. And so he decided that he was going to tackle that on and bring in like the NFL to support it. The NFL Water Boys captain is Myles Garrett. He helps unite people from around the league within the NFL and also retired NFL players to also kind of team up and raise funds so they could deliver life-sustaining gift of clean water to communities, domestic and international. To date, the Water Boys have served clean water to over 480,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah. So they really are doing God's work and really making sure that people have access to water. And that's for neighbors both in the United States and abroad. They've partnered with WorldServe International to help fund a lot of these initiatives and to bring clean solar powered and all these different things to African communities, but also in the U.S. And so again, NFL Water Boys within the Water Boys organization, and also a Chris Long Foundation. He's got a lot going on, but water is his main mission. And so I do have a short clip that kind of digs deeper that features Miles Garrett, so you could learn a little bit more about what this is.
All animals, everything. Hello, I'm Miles Garrett, defensive end for the Cleveland Browns. I believe everyone deserves access to clean water. It's just not brought to our attention every single day. It's not in the spotlight. Water Boys it's not just NFL players, it's not just athletes. We can get down on our hands and knees and do what we can, but we're outnumbered. So anybody can be involved. Anything you can give can be used to dig a new well, to get some water for a town that's never had it. Fans like you should care about people who live on the other side of the world, because we save lives. We're not doing it for ourselves, we're doing it for people who deserve it. Join me and my peers around the NFL to save lives and transform a community through the gift of clean water. Visit waterboys.org today.
Oh, I love that.
Right?
Well,
I think it's fantastic.
A little unknown story, like my niece and nephew were like adopted from Uganda, Africa. So unfortunately, I know all about circumstances over there, about how the access to those things are not readily available in a lot of the countries in Africa. So I give them props and kudos for trying to give the access to clean water abroad and at home. Now I want to research if they did anything during the Flint water crisis to help the people of Flint with clean water. That'd be really cool to find out, because living in Michigan, I know all about not having access to good drinking water and clean water with the whole Flint crisis that they've been going through for years now. So to know that they are doing something, because everyone should have access to clean water, good drinking water, good water to bathe in, cook with. So I just give them kudos for this. And I love to see that these NFL football players are caring enough about doing this and partnering with Chris Long's foundation to do this. So yeah, because water is key. We need it for life and living and everyday everything. So I am very impressed, and I appreciate learning all about this tonight. Very cool.
Yeah, I thought so too, because I know like we talk about so many different causes and issues, but I feel like no one really thinks about water and the fact that not everyone has the same access. And I do like that part of their mission isn't just water equity, but education, right? Finding
Yeah.
solutions. Because it's one thing to say, oh, let's give people water, but there's another thing when you actually educate to provide the means, right? To build wells, right? To use solar power that would bring and so I think that this mission is more sustainable because they're creating sustainability. And so,
Yeah.
so
Oh, I
I thought it
totally
was,
agree.
I thought that was something really kind of cool to spotlight. And Nicole, I'm glad you liked the commercial. I saw you come in and say that was wicked. So I'm glad that you liked that. So I'm glad you made it in time to see that. So I'm glad you're also in the audience. Yes, I agree. H2O is necessary, right? So
Oh,
thank you, Nicole, for
definitely.
joining us and for your comments, and everybody else that's watching from home. And so another segment that we really like is our hot players. So that's where Kate, Janae, and I kind of share who we thought were the best players or really showed out last week. And here's a little clip before we move on to whom we chose as players of the week. or last week.
And I just freaking love it. That's why I love this man. He's a big guy. He's just a big, massive piece of magic. And I just freaking love him. Josh Allen is my hot player of the week. And we were just talking about Kelsey being hot. Josh Allen is hot in every way for me too. I love him. I love him.
Oh, Janae. I think we've covered Josh Allen a lot this season.
We have.
But
So
how
even-
can he not?
I love it. Even
How
though
can
Janae
he not?
wasn't.
He's balling out.
I love that clip so much. I'm so happy
know.
that that's our clip.
I could watch that clip over
Oh,
and
man.
over and over again.
I'm so happy that we have that clip, especially she joined us in spirit, you see, because honestly, like I feel like that I still feel like that saying should be like on merchandise. Massive
Well,
piece of
Anthony was gonna
magic.
put it on a shirt.
I know. It's fantastic. All right. So Kate, we'll start with you. Who is your hot player of last week?
I don't know if Kyle and Anthony are watching tonight, but I'm picking one of their Atlanta Falcons. I'm picking Mr. Marcus Mariota, the quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons, because he balled out versus the 49ers, who I almost was like thinking had the chance to win that game and thought would win that game, but not the case because Mariota was balling out and doing his thing, and I was very impressed with him. He had a 92.9 completion percentage. He had 129 passing yards. His passer rating was 144.6%. That is incredible. I think that's one of the highest ones I've seen all season, to be honest, for a game. So he was right on with his numbers. He rushed for 50 yards as well, and he had 3 touchdowns. So I was very impressed because he was going up against Jimmy Garoppolo, which we all know can really be impressive and can really show out and win games and everything. But Mariota was like, not this week. Not you, mister. Looks good and everything. So Mariota really showed that he's trying to lead those Falcons to an NFC South title. And like Kyle always reminds us, the Falcons want the South, and Anthony agrees and thinks that the Falcons have a chance this season. They're doing really well. They're doing exceptionally well for what most people predicted. So I give props to Marcus Mariota this week, and we'll see what the Falcons do if they dominate the South the rest of the season. But he had a great game, a great week, and that's why I'm highlighting him as my hot player of the week. And who do we have this week for you, Delilah?
Well, thank you for telling us about Marcus. I'm glad that he had a good week because honestly, right in the first few weeks we weren't sure. So I'm glad he balled out and had a good showing. I'm sure Atlanta fans are happy.
I bet they are.
I'm sure they're happy because they keep saying they want the South, right? So hey, you actually, I feel like that division is up for grabs now more than I thought it would be.
Oh, it definitely is.
Anyway, so my feature is actually defense. I know I've been covering a lot of defenses, but I feel like if everyone's been watching the last few weeks, a lot of these games have honestly been won by the defenses. If you look at like the scores and how slanted some of them have been. So the Jets put on a good show at Lambeau against the Packers. They won 27-10. Now I know Zach Wilson gets the win for it, but he actually didn't have a great game. It was honestly his defense that kept them alive. The team altogether had 4 sacks on Aaron Rodgers. 2 of them came from Williams. And then you had 2 separate sacks. Sacks. They also had 5 tackles for losses. They had solo tackles, meaning all these different players were really going at it. They had 47 solo tackles and 71 team tackles. All right. And so like
incredible.
It was actually wild. Like they really did go out there and kept Aaron Rodgers off his toes, and they really did keep that offense off their toes, but just based on the tackles alone, right? 71 team tackles, 47 solo tackles. So that means you had single guys going across what they were supposed to do, right? And making those big
Crazy.
plays, making those huge tackles. So again, kudos to the Jets defense. You guys really did put up a show. Again, like as someone who's been watching Green Bay play, regardless of who the quarterback is, like their offense is always on point. And so whenever someone comes
definitely.
in, whenever someone can come in and put a stop to that is really impressive, especially at Lambeau. And so kudos to the Jets defense and the Jets altogether, but really to that Jets defense for really putting on a good display and stopping that Green Bay offense. So that is my hot players of last week.
And thank you for sacking Aaron Rodgers 4 times because it gave my face and my heart such delight. I have to admit, I was like, go get him. Oh, you got him. So for this lady that, loves Aaron Rodgers, yeah, right. Thank you for that, Jets defense.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, so okay, so again, just those were our hot players of the week of last week. We don't have Janae's, and I definitely would have shared it out here. So again, get better. Our next segment is one of our favorites that actually Janae came up with.
Yep.
It wasn't an original part of our segment, but when we tried it a couple weeks ago, it got a lot of good fanfare. People really enjoyed it, and so we want to make sure that we feature the NFL drama that's been happening around the league. And so that is our next segment. Kate, you want to start with the first story?
The first story we have is Steve Smith came out and talked about Mr. Tyreek Cheetah Hill, that he's got the speed, but he doesn't have the right receiving hands to be the best receiver that he can be in the NFL. And he was on Shay Shay's podcast talking about this, and it's been quite the controversy because right now Tyreek Hill is leading in receiving yards in the NFL, but people are still criticizing him that he doesn't have the right hands. But how do you have the most receiving yards and have the right speed but not the right hands? So yeah, it's causing a lot of stir and controversy. And like Delilah and I were talking, we're waiting for Tyreek Hill to fire back and say something because we know he will. So what do you have to say about it, Delilah?
So right now, all he did was show a clip of his actually best catches. So right now, like in his tweet has been really kind of simple. So when he responded, it was very calm. He was like 24 hours to respond. Respect to both of you greats is what he put in his caption. But in it, he put clips of him making impressive catches, mostly using his hand skills, right? So he really didn't have to tweet anything. He just put highlights of him making those catches. And so what do y'all think? Is Tyreek overhyped? Is it true? Is he just fast? Can he catch? What do you think about this drama? Do you agree with Steve Smith and Shay Shay? Because Shay Shay said it too. He kind of added and fed into that conversation and kind of agreed and said that, yeah, he thinks that, yes, the cheetah's fast, but he doesn't think he's good at catches. What do y'all think? Yeah. So what are your comments? Let us know. Do you agree with Shay Shay and Steve Smith? Or are you siding with Cheetah? And do you think that man is actually doing what he needs to do? He's both fast and making those catches. What do y'all think? I think I've seen him make some really impressive catches, especially this year.
Have I.
Okay, especially this year when he doesn't have Mr. Mahomes, right? Making like it, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like this year actually showcasing his skills more because now he actually has like different like levels and different quarterbacks making those passes. And to me, I think he's doing a good job. So
I think he's done an exceptionally good job adjusting to a new team, a new quarterback, a new organization, a new head coach. And like we said, he's leading the league in receiving yards. So I don't know. I think sometimes these commentators are bored and need something to say. So they just come out and say what they're going to say. And I think Tyreek Hill's doing well. We'll see how it goes this week because, I mean, I guess leading into one of our other topics, I guess we'll switch to this. Is Tua really ready to come back this week? I mean, Delilah, share what you shared with us. That what he
Yeah.
said
So
about that big hit.
so he finally talked. He's been very quiet. Basically, a lot of what we're getting back from Tua is secondhand accounts. So he's been really quiet, but he actually answered a media question when they asked him, like, what he kind of went through, and he basically said that he remembers everything that happened. And this is the second hit. He remembers everything that happened before that. But for that time period before he actually made it to the hospital, he doesn't remember any of that. So that time when he got sacked and we saw him go down, and everybody was we were fearful because we saw that hit, but then we didn't see him moving. He basically said those minutes are gone. Like, he doesn't remember anything that happened when he got hit, and then he started to recollect once he was actually in the ambulance and on his way to the hospital. So he has time that's gone that he can't remember.
That's
and
so
so
scary. And
yeah.
I'm just like fearful for him that if he takes another one of those hits, I mean, they talk about like all of this trauma that these quarterbacks have gone through in their heads and where their mental health can lead down the road. I mean, you see it in boxing. You see what boxing eventually did to like Muhammad Ali and everything else. And you see what it's been doing to a lot of other people. A lot of people think that's why Antonio Brown has acted the way he's acted lately, is because of football and the hits that he's taken over the years. And so I would hate to see anything, because I really like Tua and I think he's a great person, a great player, but I would hate to see anything long lasting happen to him. And to know that he was unconscious, doesn't recollect a lot of that. I just hope that they do whatever it takes to protect him. And like you and I were talking earlier in our group chat about, is there a different way to like remodel the helmets? Is there a safer way? They were using that extra padding during the preseason on helmets for hits and different things, and for practices to protect the players' heads from trauma and concussion. So I just worry about him, because I have a nephew that took a lot of hits in basketball over the years, and it's not a sport that he's really should be playing anymore, is what they've said at times. So because of those hits and concussions. So I just really worry about his safety going forward. Is all I'm concerned about. I could care less if he plays another down in football if it means he can have his life in a good, fulfilled life.
Right. Yeah. So Kyle, I see your comment. That's going to be our last story. We have one more before we move on from Tua. So don't worry. I will feature your comment in a couple of minutes. But people watching, what do you think? Like, obviously, like, he's been cleared. They added new protocols, right, to make sure that he was ready to come up. I do hope his O-line stacks up. They are playing the Steelers, and that Steelers defense can come after guys really hard. We know that. And so, like, what do you think is the best outcome for Tua at this point? Like, we know that everybody kind of gets injured, but you have to remember that this man sustained back-to-back concussions within a few days. So it's not like it was like
months
separate
apart.
time. And that's basically right. That's basically what we're kind of talking about. We know concussions happen. We understand football is a violent sport. We get that. What we're saying is that, unfortunately, with his situation, he had 2 concussions close together. And do you think it's a good idea? What do you like? Should we give him a shot? Can his O-line hold up? Like, and I agree. Like, is there a way to? And they do improve helmets every year, but maybe there's a way to turn that the padding that they used into something that's more technologically useful during the regular season. Because obviously, you can't have these guys running around with those paddings.
No.
But is there a way to like make that more modify it so that's useful? You know what I mean? Yeah, it is. It's a little nerve-wracking. I agree with you, Sean. It's a little scary.
And I mean, I like that their family has seen a lot with both players, but Tua especially. Um, I just you just I'm scared of like I from a mother's aspect, I don't want to see my son go through that week after week and game after game and worry about the hits. And I know they've gotten really soft with the roughing the passer penalties because of what Tua went through. So, and I know a lot of people would disagree on a lot of those, but I know the refs are trying to really protect those quarterbacks right now by making those calls. So it's like the Tua rule has happened all of a sudden in the NFL. So it's just going to be interesting what they do and what the league decides to do going forward.
Yeah.
And maybe you have to say after so many of these, you can't play the rest of the season, or you have to take it so much time off
Yeah.
to
Or
get
like
your brain right.
like Kyle said, like it should maybe be a case by case basis. I think you're
Yeah.
right. They should take it game by game and evaluate him, see how he's doing. So I do agree with that. So before we close off the drama with Tom Brady, because that is our closing story, Kyle. I just wanted to mention quickly. I don't know if the football world's aware, but Elijah Moore of the Jets is actually frustrated that even though they did win last week, he has requested a trade because he's frustrated and he's saying that they're not using him as much. He only had two attempts passed to him, and he doesn't feel like the Jets are actually using him to the best of his abilities. And so he wants to be traded. The Jets came out and said they have no plans to deal him to any team.
No.
So how can they fix this? Because we have seen this with other teams, right? When a player is upset at an organization, sometimes they sit out on purpose. Like, you know what I mean? There's just all these things going on. And so what do you think that the Jets can do, like, to kind of bridge this gap? Because right now he's basically saying he doesn't want to play there anymore. And the Jets are saying, we're not sending you anywhere. So what could be the best solution for both of these?
I guess it's just drop some plays, see how he does, and if he's not doing what they want him to do, then just say, look, this is why we're not passing to you. You're not receiving, you're not catching, you're not getting yards after catch, you're not giving us touchdowns, you're not doing what we've asked of you. But at the same time, if they are not willing to give him that opportunity to prove himself, then maybe they should trade him, because if they're not going to do the things that will exercise his argument, then why keep a player on the team that's not happy? It was kind of like with Dabo. He wanted a trade. He wanted to go somewhere else. The 49ers weren't really looking to do anything with him, and he's come out and had a decent season so far. So sometimes the grass isn't always greener on the other side, and that's sometimes what these football players have to recognize.
Right. That's a good point. And then Kyle also.
Nope. You are not the entire team is correct. I agree, Kyle. I mean, that's when, referencing college, if college players have a bad game, sometimes they stay behind after the game's over with and go back out on the field and they have a quarterback throwing to them, or they have defensive coaches teaching them how to better hit, or how to better cover, how to do those things. So you see that a lot in a lot of sports where players are discouraged with their performances. So they stay behind and say, what do you want me to do to get better? So maybe that's what Elijah Moore needs to do, is go to his receiving coach and say, what do you need me to do? Or go to the head coach. What do you need me to do out there?
Yeah. Instead of just saying, trade me, right?
Right. Instead of having a pity party about it.
I guess we'll see what happens with that, because I'm sure we'll hear more the next few days, or especially when they play next, right? Let's see what's gonna happen. Do you think we're gonna see more receptions to Elijah Moore next game, or are we gonna see less?
Because more or less.
What do we think? Are they just gonna give him what he wants and get him out there and make sure that Mr. Zach Wilson gets the ball to him? or are we going to see even less?
Is less going to be more?
All right. But no, but so now we're moving on to the last story of our NFL drama before we move on to our last two segments. And it's going back to Mr. Kyle's comments.
Yep.
So it actually ties in really well. Kate, do you want to lead this story since it ties really nicely with Kyle's comment?
Yep. Tom Brady's biggest fan has not been very happy with Tom Brady lately. Just gonna say that right now. I love the man with all my heart. Will defend him usually right and left. I hope Sydney Swinton's watching this tonight because he's gonna finally see me say that Tom Brady needs to grow up and realize that despite his personal problems that he's having, he needs to focus on football. I was not happy to see he attended Kraft's wedding when he should have been doing his walkthrough with his team. Knowing his team is not playing very well, I understand he still has that strong relationship with Robert Kraft, but when your team isn't doing well, you don't go to someone's wedding. And that was one of my first things that I noticed this week that I wasn't very happy with. And then he comes out and says that going to the NFL season is like a military man being deployed into service and going to war. I'm sorry, Mr. Brady, it is not. Those soldiers leave their families, go across the seas, spend years, if not months, away from their families. You get to still go home to your wife, not anymore, it appears. Every night after practice, you get to see your kids, you get to see your family. You don't get to be away from them for years or maybe months. Fighting an enemy combatant, you're playing against another team who's not shooting at you. And so Tom, I love you, but I'm very disappointed in you this week. I'm just watching all this stuff spiral and I'm like, what are you doing? What are you saying? Why are you doing this? Shut your mouth, stay home, don't go to weddings. And then, yes, he did say today in his press conference, don't ask him about retirement because there's no talk about retirement. He doesn't plan on retiring anytime soon. He's like, shut up about retirement. I'm going to play as long as I want to play. I'm going to do what I want to do. And the only reason I would say, Kyle, that the Bucs should extend him is if he really has a very good finish to this season and they do something really spectacular right now. But I think it should be like a year-by-year contract, if that, because, the old gray mare isn't what it used to be right now, as they would say, the old saying goes. So I know he's got a lot of injured O-linemen. They're talking about one of them coming back hopefully early November. So that might give him a boost. But your personal problems have to be left off the field. I always said to my girls when I managed a store, there was a mat at the front door. I was like, wipe your personal problems off on that mat. They don't come in the store. They don't come in the front door. We don't do that. So Tom's got to get whatever's going on in his personal life separate from his football life so that when he's on the field, he's giving his team and that organization and the fans the best of his ability. He shouldn't be yelling. He tirade his O-line. You heard the F-bombs. You heard what he was saying to them. I get it. He's frustrated. He's mad. This is not what he's used to. But there's a way professionally without the cameras catching it that he could have talked to them after the game or at halftime. But, I totally agree. It hinders the Bucs' success. And I think he needs to get out of this and he needs to get back into football is my personal opinion. And this is his biggest fan. I'm saying these things about him as his biggest fan. And I'm not seeing the Tom Brady that I've known and loved for several years. I've been a fan since he was at Michigan, and this is not who he is. It's not his character. It's not his ethics. It's not anything that I'm used to. So stay home. Don't go to weddings. I don't care if it's Robert Kraft's wedding. You stay home. You work with your team. You don't take those personal opinions about your O-line out on them during a game to where it looks really unprofessional. I know you're frustrated. You got to quit breaking iPads. You got to get your head right, and you got to lead those Bucs in the NFC South to the victory that you know you can be. So Tom Brady, as your biggest fans, I'm saying grow up.
And there you have it. There's really nothing else I could add to that because you perfectly succinctly said it. And I can tell you from watching Kay for a long time that the fact that she came on and actually said this about Tom Brady, like, y'all don't even know. Sean knows. We know. She's been featured on Let's Talk Football for so many seasons on, being Tom Brady's biggest fan. So I don't think I have to add anything more to that. And so now just to tie into the fact that we started our NFL drama with Shay Shay, I do want to show a little clip of our rookie spotlight that we do on Tuesdays with Mr. Anthony Handy, who also has the SEC show on Wednesdays as well. And so before we move on to our next segment, just a quick little clip spotlighting Anthony Handy.
I love Mr. Fingus.
I do too. So much. And before we move on, Kyle, yep, I agree. Kate, they need more than just you, okay? Okay, so this is when we make our NFL predictions. And as we know from the last few weeks, we know that Thursday night at Amazon Prime has been just awful. But we got to make the predictions. I don't even know what the score is right now.
I know Nicole just said she needed to go because they were starting.
Yeah, she said the Saints need me. So yep, she left. She wants to go root for her team. I don't blame her.
I don't blame her either. But yeah, Delilah, I agree. These games have been pretty lackluster and subpar. But it's all right.
We got to make our predictions. So, Kate, let's start with you. What's your prediction for tonight's outcome?
Based on all the injuries that are plaguing the New Orleans Saints, they're using a backup quarterback. That's Mr. Dalton with all the other injuries they have, Jarvis Landry and everyone else. The Kamara is basically all they have for offense right now. And everything that else has been going on, they couldn't finish their game against the Bengals. I'm going Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, and DeAndre Hopkins is making his return tonight. So I'll be interested to see how he plays and does. But my prediction is the Cardinals, and it'll be like a 17-14 game, probably, maybe like a low scoring game. But I think the over-under is like 43.5 is what I read.
Yeah, I could see that. All right.
So, yeah, I don't think it's going to be anything great, but I could be wrong. But I'm picking the Cardinals.
All right. So right now the Saints are up 7-0, but it's only the first quarter. And so let's see what happens for the rest of the game. I'm going to go with the Cardinals. I also think it'll be a low scoring game. So I think it'll be one of those weird, like 16-19, maybe get a safety or something. So I am going with Cardinals, and they'll probably win by like a field goal or some weird like safety that they get. So that's basically, I'm going with Cardinals. So anybody else out there? Nicole, I know you've got your pick.
It looks like Kyle is saying Cardinals based on his comments back to Nicole.
Anybody else who's still watching? I don't know. What are your predictions for tonight's games? Who do you think gets it?
Saints by 3, Sean says.
Ooh, okay. Well, here we go. They're up 7. So, all right, guys. So that's really our predictions for tonight. All right, and then we are going to move on, and basically our last segment of the night is ladies have the final say. And here's a little clip before we move on to the last part of our show tonight. But you need to like not give up and just try to try your best to persevere through whatever you want to reach, right? Whatever goal, whether it's short goal, long goal, whatever, just perseverance is key. And I know it's hard. All right. And so we have made it to the end of our show. And so I will hand it to you, Kate, with your
Okay.
ladies have the final say. And yeah.
My thing is just having acceptance for people and the people around you. I work in a very diverse industry and a very diverse staff. We have LGBTQ, we have different racial backgrounds, we have someone who is transgender on my staff, we have different walks of life, different places where everyone's come from, and we all have come together to be this wonderful melting pot of acceptance and accepting people for who we are and where we're at and everything. Like, I am the single mom at work who's raising my daughter completely on my own. And, just my thing is always accept people for where they're at, their walk in life, who they are, accept them for who they are, love them for who they are. And just knowing that this world is a beautiful place, and I love the melting pot that this world is. And that if we all accepted everyone for who we are and our diversity, our backgrounds, our cultures, and everything, this world would be a much better place. And it's been great to work with people of all different walks and of life, diversity. I've never really been in a place like this. I used to work in the county I live in, and it's pretty milquetoast, if you get my drift. And it's been nice to work in a diverse city like Ann Arbor, and to be around all this beautiful shades of the crayons and the backgrounds and everything. And it's really opened up my heart to be like, it really has shown me this is where I want to be, because Ann Arbor is a very accepting town. You go through and churches have pride flags. They have Black Lives Matter things in their front yards. And that's what you want when you see that. And I just think it's really calling to me that I go to work and I have embraced learning people's pronouns, learning how to use proper pronouns and everything. And I don't think I would have had that had I stayed in the industry I was working in and where I was working. So it's been just beautiful. It's been like beautiful to just embrace that and to come to accept people and to just love people for who they are, and just be accepting and don't be judgmental. Just know that people are who they are, and that's the way they're made. And, Lady Gaga says you're beautiful in this way because God makes no mistakes. You were born this way. Just accepting you for you, and accepting you for the way God made you, and accepting the fact that if you were born in a girl's body, but you recognize you're a boy, that it's okay. And you're okay. And we love you and we accept you, and just know that you have me in your life, and just acceptance. It's just the biggest thing in my heart right now. So that's my ladies have the final say. Be accepting of people for who they are, where they come from, what they want to be, and just quit the judgment. So that's my ladies' final say.
All right. That was a good one. Yeah. So basically, I'm Delilah. No, we're closing the show. So my ladies have the final say is value rest and sleep, whatever that is. If you could, just value resting, right? Value taking time for yourself and decompressing. I know that we always like to talk about like being, I'm an extrovert and I'm an introvert, but it doesn't matter. I feel like at some point we all kind of get depleted with overstimuli. It's just a lot going on. And so I want everybody to know that it's okay for you to take some alone time. And it's not the same as you're being lonely, because I feel like they confuse the two. I'm saying alone time, time to kind of sit on your own and just kind of decompress, focus on you. Whether it means you're going to maybe watch a funny show, gonna drink some tea, have some coffee, whatever it is that you need, do take that time that you need to focus on yourself briefly in a quiet space, right? If you need a quiet space, if you need to just listen to soothing music, whatever that music is, because soothing music is different, right? Depending on your mood. But do take that time to reduce that stimuli and kind of regenerate yourself, right? Because we do all give energy to each other, right? You're taking in a lot every day when you're out there, and we're taking in negative and positive energy, right? It's all coming out at us really quickly in different ways, whether it's face to face, on media, wherever it is, you're just getting super, super stimuli. And so I just want to make sure that everybody takes that moment to be alone and decompress and like refocus and recenter yourself and whatever that means, like if it means just counting to 10 by yourself and just kind of counting to 10 to kind of get yourself back into yourself, just having a moment to you, please take advantage of that, because that will help you a lot with mental clarity and mental health and just overall wellness. So that is, my ladies, have the final take. Take that moment for yourself to decompress and refocus and re-energize.
I love that. Because I know I need to do more of that sometimes.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. And
No?
so that's our show, everybody. Thank you to everybody that
Thank
joined
you.
us at different times. Kyle, Nicole, Johnny, you came in briefly. Nice to see you. Sean, both in the comments and helping us in the background too. Thank you. It's much
appreciate you.
appreciated. Andrew, thank you for popping in briefly as well. I appreciate you. So thank you, everybody. And we
will see you next week.
and hopefully again, Janae, feel better, and hopefully we see you next time on the show with us.